So we have our user interface and we need a class that is going to control this. So let's go ahead, select our login view, Command N to choose a new CocoaTouch class. And remember, our settings is a table view controller. So we are going to choose a subclass of UI table view controller and call this settings table view controller. Click enter to create the function, the file. And now we can go back to our storyboard, select our view here, then go to our class inspector and set the class to settings table view controller. And now we have all these table view thing connected by default to our view here. We have this boilerplate code provided by Apple because we have chosen to be subclass of UI table view controller. And basically I'm going to delete this. So our number of sections is I don't need any of these. So let's just get rid of everything. We have only our view did load, and here I'm going to access my table view. Because we are a subclass of table view controller, we have this table view var outlet already set for us. And then I will say table view footer view is equal to UI view, and we just said initialize an empty view. And this helps us to get rid of these empty cells in our table view. So if I run my application, we should see some difference now. You can see our table view background is nice gray instead of the default. And also we can choose to check the dark mode. Just enable this, set the dark mode. And you can see how our application will look in dark mode. All these have this dark black color, but our background here is a little bit lighter than the other ones. And there is another ugly thing going on here, these titles, and we're going to get rid of them because we don't need this. So let's do that. And what we're going to do is also to set up our information here. So mainly this thing has to go away as well. Let me just start with that. We don't need a disclosure indicator here. Just put none. And let's make this one a little bit bigger and also bold. And maybe if you want to, you can change the color so that it's distractive and our user knows that we are going to log out. Let's put like system red. And this is gonna be label, we are going to say up version. All right, and now I have this controller and we can option click, open our assistant editor here. So we can do our connections. We want to connect all these outlets so we have access to them. I'm going to put the mark here, call these IB outlets. And here we are going to have our username. Then we have a status label. And avatar image view. Okay, and then we have some IB actions. These are for our buttons. So I'm going to connect my tell a friend. and then terms and conditions. If you don't want to use buttons here, what another option you could do is just have a label here, and then you could choose when our user detect when the user has clicked a specific cell. Because the buttons are much simpler way, I'm doing that, and I don't have to implement the table view functions there. This one is logout. Button pressed. And we are done with our IB actions. Let's just close this. And we can do some spaces here. So here I'm going to put a mark, call this view lifecycle. All right, and let's close these spaces. All right, so what we need to do when we open our settings view, and then the view.load function will be called, we want to take the current user information and populate the area here, mainly the image, username, and status. So let's create a function that is going to do that. And I'm going to call this show user info. And actually this one I don't want to put in my view.load, but instead I want to put it in view.appear. And here we just call super view.appear animated. And the reason I'm doing this is that view.load is called only once when our view loads, but view.appear will be called every time we enter this view. And the reason we want to refresh our user interface every time we enter is, for example, if I go click here and go, let's go to our ready application. If I click here, come to my view, and let's say I change my status, and this will be saved, and I come here, I want this to be automatically refreshed so we can see our latest information. So that's why we are using view.appear. And show info is a function that we are going to write. So let's put a mark at the end, call this update UI private func show user info. And here I'm going to check if we have a current user. User.current user. So if we have a current user, I'm going to set the username label.text equals to our user.username. Then we want to set the status label.text equals to user.status. And we have to check for avatar. So if our user has an avatar, we say user.avatar link is not equals to empty string. Then we have an avatar link. And here I'm going to say download and set avatar image. So we don't have this download function yet, so that's why I'm going to leave this empty. And we're going to implement this download function when we implement this edit profile section where you can upload images, and also you can change all this information. We are going to create a special class that is going to upload and download our images for us. And then we can use that to set our image. For the tell a friend, I'm going to just write a print for now. Let's say tell a friend. And same goes for terms and conditions. And for logout, let's just put logout to see if these are working. And let's run our application. At least we are going to be able to see our username and status for now. Let's go to our settings. And my username, remember, was the email that we have set, which is isdevschool@gmail.com. And then we have this default status. Hey there, I'm using Messenger. So let's try our buttons. I'm going to clean this console. Let's tell a friend, terms and conditions, and logout. So these things are working properly. And let's also do this removing our section titles. For this, I'm going to put a mark here, call this table view delegates. And here we are going to get view for header in section. So this is going to return a UI view, which is a custom, an optional custom UI view. Because if I just put that I don't want any title here, we are going to be left with this kind of dark gray color header section. But what I want to do is to have the same color as our background here, so that it looks like it's empty. So instead, we are going to do this. We're going to create a custom view. So we say let header view is equals to UI view, and we just access our header view background color is equals, and we say UI color, and then we say named, and the name is our color that we have set, which if you go to your assets, colors, you have this table view background color. You just can copy this and can paste it here. And once you set this, you can just simply say return header view. And this will return our header view. Let's try now to see if we get the color. See, we have nicely set. But what I want to do as well is to change the size a bit, because this is a bit too much. And we can do hide for header in section. And then for our first section, you see here is big difference under our title. I want to set a different number, and in between the other sections, I want to set a different number. So I'm going to, this function just returns a CG float. I want to say a return, and then we check the section is equals to 0. It means this is our first section. In that case, I want to return 0. And if it's not our first section, then I want to return 10 points. And let's run it again. Now this is again a short if statement. Go to settings. You see now we have no space here and only 10 point space underneath. So this is nicely set. One thing we have forgotten, the app version. And let me just quickly do the connection for this. So we go to storyboard, select our label, and do the connection here. This is app version label. And if we go to our show user info, here we will say app version label dot text is equals, and what we want to get is, if you go to your manager on top, Messenger, the blue icon, or whatever your application name is, we want to get a number that it's set as the version here. So to do that, we are going to access our, actually it should have a text, not only the version. So it's going to be app version and whatever the number is. So I'm going to say app version and space, and here we're going to do a string interpolation, and we will access our bundle and then we will access our main info dictionary, and we want to get a key which is called, let me copy and paste so we don't mess this up. So it's cf bundle short version string, and we need to specify that this is as string. All right, and let's just try to see if this thing works. So we have app version and it gets an optional. So let's do. Let's do like this. So we have a default value, and let's see if this will work. All right. So by giving a default value, in case if this is a nil, we want an empty string as default value. And now we get our current app version, which is 1.0. So everything is set here. The only thing we are missing is our avatar image. And in the next lecture, we are going to do the logout functionality.